Well, today is World AIDS Day, and unfortunately, the Caribbean ranks number 2 next to Africa in HIV-positive people. Here's News Channel 8's Wes Small with this serious report.
Today is World AIDS Day, definitely an epidemic that has hit worldwide proportions. And here locally, we're at the St. Croix Education Complex, and I'm here with STD and HIV awareness coordinator, Dr. Richard Olens. And Doc, that's a mouthful, but if you want to fill me in on the other things that you're in charge of.
I'm the Territorial Director for Infectious Diseases for the Virgin Islands. I also run I'm the medical director of the STD HIV TB clinic here on St. Croix.
Okay. Well, Doc, here we are at a seminar today, and you'll be speaking, I take it?
That's correct.
And how are we doing in 2008 on World AIDS Day? This deadly disease has been around for over 20 some odd years now. And how are we doing in the territory? Are we taking care of ourselves? And are we using condoms? Are we becoming more aware of who our sexual partners are?
Well, certainly we know more about HIV/AIDS than we did 25 years ago when the epidemic started, but we still have an epidemic of major proportions, particularly in the Caribbean in general and in the U.S. Virgin Islands as well. The Caribbean as a region is second only to Africa in the prevalence of HIV infection. That makes it a major concern, a health problem throughout our area, as well as a problem for our children. We do have a problem for STDs in general. We do have an epidemic of other STDs, including chlamydia on island, and this is a factor that puts us at even greater risk of HIV transmission to our young people.
What can we do to stop this, to control this?
Well, thankfully, there have been some wonderful advances in the last 10 to 15 years, particularly in terms of medication for them. Medication is very expensive, but it is provided through federal grants to many through the program at the Department of Health. Clearly, however, as in all of medicine, it's much better to prevent a serious disease than to try and play catch up and treat it after it is present. The problem is clearly a major one, and if we can educate all of our population as to how to protect themselves better, and that's the reason we're here today. My wife and I are both speaking to the students at the vocational school as to the ABCs of how to protect yourself in terms of sexually transmitted diseases in general, and HIV as well. It, of course, is a sexually transmitted disease. So the ABCs are abstinence, be faithful, and condoms. And none of these is an answer to it, to the problem alone, but all together is the best protection to prevent this infection.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you.
And now we're inside the St. Croix Educational Complex in the auditorium where we're having the afternoon seminar. We just had one a few hours ago here. We're going to hear about that. Here with the nurse, Karen Michael, and one of the co-directors of the Women's Coalition, along with Mary Mingus. It is Clemma Lewis. We all know her. And let's start with you, Ms. Michael, as the nurse here at the Education Complex. What are some of the hurdles that we're trying to get over on World AIDS Day?
We have a lot of students here who are sexually active. I don't know numbers exactly, but we know that by the number of students that go to the health department that are already infected with STDs, that it is a problem here. We're trying to teach them about this, tell them about AIDS, how they get it. World AIDS Day is a day of celebration so that people around the world know what's going on. And we also teach the students not to be afraid of those people who already have HIV/AIDS.
Oh, that's very interesting. And now, Clemma Lewis, what's your function with the Women's Coalition here on World AIDS Day?
The reason we're here is to educate the students about sexual assault and rape and we want to talk to them about statutory rape, the different types of rape, and how you can contract STDs and HIV through raping and sexual assault. So we're more or less trying to educate and let students who need help know that we're available to help them. And we try to do it a creative way with different brochures on different aspects, abstinence, if you got to have sex, using safe sex, and not using the school grounds for your sex playground, that kind of thing. And we love doing it. We love coming here talking to students, and every time Karen invites us, we're here.
Interesting you should say that. I just got finished doing a rape story with the 29-year-old, with the 14-year-old. And then last week we had a 59-year-old man involved and another man involved. It seems like these problems continuously and plague our town.
That's why we're here. We're trying to educate these students about younger girls, older men, all the traps that involve students pulling trains and gang rapes on each other, and the whole incest, which is big in our community. Not because it's your brother, your father, your uncle, or relative, is it okay for them to molest you, and that's why we're here.
Don't be surprised today if your children came home with condoms. I know that this could be a hot issue in a lot of households, but I was just talking to Ms. Michael, and can they contact you in case they have some questions that their students brought home? Some of this literature, like dating an older guy and no shame, and hey, you're slipping and you're pimping. Things like these, if parents get offended, can they feel comfortable in contacting you?
Wes, I welcome parents to call me. I welcome parents to get involved with their students, with their children. I welcome parents to talk to their students. And if they don't know how, I welcome them again. I have lots of information in my desk, and no student ever comes into my office and leaves without getting some sort of education about sex. We've brought our pregnancy rate way down here at the complex, and it's just purely by education. Today we have Dr. and Mrs. Olance here working with the students as well. So we're working with the STD department. I send lots of girls to the teen clinic at Charles Harwood.
Now, how can we contact you then at your office?
You can contact me at the vocational school, 778-2216, extension 5906, and I'll be glad to meet with anybody or speak with anybody concerning this.
Okay. Once again, it's World AIDS Day all over the world, and here in St. Croix, we do have an epidemic in the Caribbean, second only to Africa in the world, and it is very important that we get this message out. The ABCs, pretty simple: abstinence, be faithful. I don't know why I have a problem with that, and also condoms. So there we go, the ABCs. Free Arts, World AIDS Day. I'm at the St. Croix Educational Complex. I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.